Gaza today has become the moral compass of the world, insisted the Reverend Dr. Munther Isaac in his 2023 Christmas sermon. His words, which went viral, were subsequently quoted by the UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed. Lamentably, many Christian leaders in the USA and Europe have stood by, silent and complicit, unwilling to criticize Israel for what is increasingly seen as a genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people. This article, The Church of England's Complicity in the Gaza Genocide, analyzes the Church of England's official statements about Gaza since the 7th of October, 2023, together with criticisms, and provides an assessment of the Church's moral integrity in its stance on Gaza. Specifically, the 3 statements of the House of Bishops and the 2 from the Archbishops issued between October last year and April this year concerning Gaza were assessed together with those of groups such as Campaign, the Lambeth Witness Group, and Christians for Palestine, which have been critical of what they perceive to be the complicity of the Church of England hierarchy and the Israel lobby. I invite you to download the full article, but I'm going to summarize the conclusions now. There has undoubtedly been what many see as an unhealthily close and long-standing relationship between the leaders of the Church of England and the Board of Deputies of British Jews, who describe themselves unapologetically as a pro-Israel lobby. This is evidence from the fact that Campaign wrote an open letter to the Archbishop of Canterbury last year, and that was never replied to. A subsequent letter was written to 95 serving Anglican bishops, asking each of them to respond to questions posed regarding Israel and its apartheid nature. We didn't receive a single reply, not one. This merely confirmed their unwillingness over many years to address this issue, as is demonstrated further by their refusal to engage with either Sabeel Jerusalem or Kairos Palestine, who represent the breadth of indigenous Palestinian church leadership. The core problem which this article exposes is that the leadership of the Church of England is unwilling to answer either to their Palestinian brothers and sisters or even to the citizens of the UK. The latter is totally out of place in a country like the UK, where the Church of England enjoys a privileged position at the heart of an elected democracy, one where the views of all citizens, be they Anglican or otherwise, are supposed to count. The least people have the right to expect is that the Church will enter into reasoned dialogue over points of contention. Archbishop Welby's refusal to acknowledge the reality of Israeli apartheid in Palestine was further confirmed by his presentation and during the Q&A at the Embrace annual lecture in September 2023. Immediately following the Hamas atrocities of the 7th of October, the archbishops, both in their public statement and in correspondence with the Board of Deputies, demonstrated, quote, solidarity with Israel, without any recognition of the 75 years of brutal military occupation which had led to the Hamas attack. In his visit to Israel soon after, the Archbishop naturally empathized with the grieving and traumatized families of the hostages, but went on to criticize those in the UK participating in national demonstrations, calling for an end to the genocide in Gaza, for being ignorant, he said, even accusing those who believed Israel to be responsible for the bombing of the Anglican Ali Hospital of committing an anti-Semitic blood libel. The Archbishop has yet to comment on the fact that Israel has targeted and destroyed virtually every single hospital and medical facility in Gaza. Significantly, virtually all the statements, press interviews, speeches published by the archbishops and bishops in the last 6 months perpetuate the falsehood that Israel has the right of defense. As stated in the article, in international law, an occupying power has no right of defense whatsoever. It is the Palestinians who not only have the right of defense, but also the right to resist Israel by the use of force. When referring to Israeli and Palestinian casualties, for example, they use different terminology. While Israeli casualties resulted from, quote, abhorrent terrorist attacks, unquote, Palestinian casualties were the consequence of Israel exercising its, quote, right of self-defense, justifying the distinction by claiming there is, quote, no equivalence between the two sides, as if they were equal. According to the bishops, Hamas had acted, quote, in violation of international law, unquote, whereas Israel's actions have only been, quote, inconsistent with international law, unquote. The emotive language used in their statements to describe the actions of Hamas included abhorrent, atrocities, pogrom, terrorist action, brutality, human shields, indiscriminate. These contrast markedly with the words used to describe Israel's actions. Significantly, none of these words are used. Instead, more neutral terms are employed, such as proportional, discriminate, bombardment, ground offensive. And the most frequent term, however, was self-defense, as if that justified everything. Indeed, the Archbishop even referred to his desire for an Israeli military victory. Despite Zionist and Israeli leaders' long-standing and well-documented aim of ethnically cleansing Palestine of Palestinians and the mounting evidence of apartheid, war crimes, and genocide being committed by Israel in Gaza and the occupied territories, neither the archbishops nor the House of Bishops have been willing as yet to use these terms in any of their statements, nor have they been willing to call for a permanent end to the Israeli aggression in Gaza, lobby the UK government to ban arms exports, or endorse the South African submission to the International Court of Justice investigating evidence of Israeli war crimes. If Gaza is indeed the moral compass of the world, it is evident that the Church of England leadership are relying upon a very different compass, one that steers them to prioritize their relationship with the Israel lobby over genuine moral principles.